Hey everyone, this is the Southern Knife Hobbyist. I'm not able to go to the shop today. And my knife shop is not at my house. It's at my dad's house. It's about a half-mile away, so I just go there on weekends when I can. But I thought I'd do a quick setup here at the house and just talk about knives for a few minutes. I expect this to be a short video. We're just going to talk about styles of knives. So I'm going to introduce some to you for those who may not be as familiar with knives. To those of you that do, you can send in corrections. This is a Barlow knife. Now, this is the one you'll probably recognize from one of my videos. This is the Ulster Barlow, where I restored the snap to those blades. Has bone handles. As we've said before in that video, Ulster is the manufacturer of the knife. Barlow is the style. So I'm going to talk about Barlow knives. I've got a few of them here to look at. This one is by Camillus. It's called a tip top. This one was made during World War II because the bolsters are steel. All of the liners are steel. The pins were steel. I've replaced them with brass pins, but that was originally steel only. And so yeah, it was made during World War II when brass was very rarely available for commercial use, and nickel was not available at all for anyone for any reason. So both of those are fairly old knives. Here is a new Barlow. This one is by Bear & Son. Now, it does not look nearly as nice as the specials coming up for the Ellaville Knife Show, but it is still a beautiful knife. I love Bear & Son knives. They make good quality products. And, of course, it's made here in the state of Alabama, where I'm from. So I'm very proud of Bear & Son knives, and that is a beautiful Barlow. These are bone handles, too. It's called Amber Carved Stag, or Amber Carved, I can't even say it. It's called Amber Carved Stagged Bone. There we go. So you don't have as good a light here in this little studio setup, but outside this really glows a beautiful color in those handles. So I love those. Here is one I just acquired this week. This is a case. It's a Case Granddaddy Barlow. So that's a very nice one. It's in good condition. I think it's a 1981 version. So even though these are all different sizes, the different manufacturers, they're all called a Barlow knife. The things Barlows can have in common, they're normally either one or two blades. This one is a one blade. Each of these others are two blades. The style is teardrop shaped, or the frame of the knife is somewhat teardrop shaped. There's only a bolster on one end. You do not have a bolster on the back end, or they'll call it a bare-headed knife when it only has the bolsters on one end. And the bolster is extra long in a Barlow. Most bolsters are only about that long, so these are about double the length of what you'll have on other knives. So as you can see, the similarity in design there, even though they're different sizes, different manufacturers, different number of blades, they're all called a Barlow knife. Now, I've got a couple of other examples that are not Barlows, but they look very similar. This one is, I think that's Colonial. Now, that one has been reworked. That was not how the knife originally looked. This Colonial looks very similar to a Barlow. It's the same teardrop shape. It's about the same size. It may be just a tad longer than these, but smaller than the Case. But you see, it does not have the long bolsters. It has a normal size bolster, so that is not a Barlow knife. In fact, this one started out as an electrician's knife that I modified. I was never happy with this one, but I carry it some. It's a knife I use just to... I can use as an EDC. I can carry it. I can use it and not have to worry about messing up one of my good knives. I have another little tiny one here, a Camco, that is made, of course, by the same company that made this one. It's a two-blade. The secondary blade is a screwdriver and cap lifter. That's pretty handy at times. And it is the same teardrop shape, and it's a little smaller size than the Barlows, but you see it does not have the long bolsters. This is one I'm thinking about, putting the longer bolsters, though, and turning it into a Barlow just for fun. But those are just some examples of things that are Barlows and examples of knives that are not Barlow knives. And now I'm going to talk about this one in particular. So I just wanted to tell you a quick story about this tip-top Barlow knife. This is one that I repaired much earlier in my career, and it's one of the repairs that turned out, I thought, very well. It's one of them I'm proud of. This is a knife that I carry very often. I'd say probably 2 to 3 times a week. This one winds up in my pocket. I bought this at a small antique store in St. Joseph, Tennessee, very small town. I was there for work and had a lunch break, and the man had a bucket of knives that were broken. They were $2 each, and this is one of the knives that I purchased. It had no blades in it at that time. Both blades were broken. So what I did is I found a Camillus knife. Now this one originally was what we call a 4-line tang stamp. I'll show you a close-up of the tang stamp and some pictures of what a 4-line is supposed to be. The tang stamp is worn away on this knife. It was there present a little bit, but cleaning these blades got rid of that. Here you can see how they're supposed to look, and this indicates that the knife was made between 1941 and 1946. Like I said, both blades were broken, so I found a knife that was not a Barlow, but it was a Camillus knife with a 4-line tang stamp and the spear point blade. Now, it's very possible that the tip top originally had a clip point blade. I've seen pictures of many of them that do. I don't know if this one was available in a spear point or not, but it's the blades that I had. They were the right size. I had to do a little bit of shaping on the tang of this one to get it to fit the pen blade, but I put both these blades in there. The knife this came out of, someone had tried to make handles with epoxy, and they looked terrible, and they had also cleaned the blades with a Dremel tool sander, and the blade was just covered with scratches and marks all up and down. The little round sanding drums, if you're going across it, just leaves a little divot after divot. So the knives looked terrible. The blades were in horrible shape. What I did is I smoothed those blades as well as I could with the belt sander. I believe this was even before I had my 1x30 belt sander. I was using a 4x36 sander that was designed for woodworking, but it's what I had at the time. But I took my time, I smoothed those blades, and I hand sanded them so they were very bright and shiny when I got finished with that. And I wanted to give the blades a patina because this is an old knife. I wanted it to look old. It's just the knives I carry, I believe an old knife should look old. So I rubbed them down with a little bit of vinegar on a rag, and it gave them sort of a gray appearance, but that started that oxide coating that protects them. Then I coated them with oil and washed the blades real good. And over the next several months, I would slice my tomatoes with this knife. Slicing tomatoes and vegetables like that are slightly acidic will definitely give it a patina. And you can see it's not even. There's darker spots and lighter spots in the patina, but it definitely gives it an aged antique look. The bolsters, as I said, are steel bolsters. There's some pitting there. Now, when I put the new pin in it, I used a nail because it's a steel pin. That's what this one had. And I did not smooth it completely. I had to smooth it right here at the pins. So it's a little bit smoother there. The rest of it, I left as much of that pitting as I could because I wanted this knife as authentic as I could get it. So anyway, it's one of my earlier repairs, and it's one of the ones I'm most proud of. And if I had really good light, you could see more about these bones. These used to be saw-cut bone handles. They're worn very smooth. I could only imagine in my mind that some old farmer carried this knife for 30, 40, 50 years, wore the handles down very smooth, just carrying it in his pocket, using it in his hands. Eventually, both blades were broken, and I wound up buying it for $2. And I believe I owned it 2 or 3 years before I got around to finding the blades I wanted for it. But once I did this, to me, the color of this bone, especially in sunlight, reminds me of root beer. And it's just a warm, beautiful, glowing bone handles. And I dearly love this knife. So I wanted to share that with you. Just a few minutes of video today. But I may share other knife patterns and things about knives, trivia about knives. Just because I can't always get to the shop. I can't always spend time working on knives. We have a lot going on personally right now, some good things in the work, and that really makes it difficult for me to get shop time. But I will continue to do that as I can and post those videos, but I wanted to share this one with you. I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you.